dog kicks ass. Hi, welcome to the Silver Spleen. My name is Arthur Simons, and this is my review of Operation Mekong. I was lucky enough to attend the gala premiere for this movie at the Metroplex in Kowloon Bay. I was unlucky enough to be suffering from the flu, and I was therefore heavily medicated. But I'm a professional. It's what I do. Operation Mekong tells the, ostensibly, true story of an operation to catch the people responsible for the Mekong River massacre, in which a number of Chinese fishermen were murdered in 2011. How much or how little of Operation Mekong is based in truth is kind of beside the point. After the massacre of innocent Chinese people, China suggests a multinational task force go after the perpetrators, and this task force is to be led, naturally, by China, and all the other countries naturally agree. So Zhang Hanyu and his men go to Thailand to start the process of apprehending the guilty, with little or no help from any non-Chinese people. Because you can't trust foreigners. Just ask Chuck Norris. And I mean that sincerely. Operation Mekong is a remarkable film because it takes the structure and orientation of mid-1980s American action films and just kind of swaps out the ethnicities. It becomes Mekong Delta Force. I didn't write that joke. I wish I could say that I did, but I didn't. This movie made me feel young because it was just like 1985 again. It's didactic and oversimplified to an amazing degree.
Because drugs are bad, okay?
Operation Mekong is the movie Nancy Reagan wishes she could have made. As is so often the case when you're trying to make a moral statement that junkies are really bad, you end up not really being concerned with the veracity of your depictions. Junkies who wear sleeveless tops to work probably don't shoot up in their arm. It's possible that they would shoot up somewhere that you don't see it, from what I've read. The narrative in Operation Mekong moves forward because it needs to. We must get cooperation from other countries, and they do. We must make these wary criminals trust us, and they do. We're never shown the tedious process of these undercover cops convincing the criminals to trust them, thereby convincing us. It's just taken for granted that the police will achieve their goal. Remember, after all, where those police are from and who this movie's made for. We must reach the helicopter, and they do. Get to the chopper! We must not harm the innocent, and they do not. We must capture this evil foreign drug lord alive so that he can be returned to China and tried and found guilty and sentenced to death. And he is. That's not a spoiler. This movie's made for China. That's a spoiler. Is it a spoiler for me to wonder how the bad guy recovers completely from what seemed like a life-threatening injury and gets a haircut in what must have been a very short plane ride back to China and justice? But who cares? At least Operation Mekong isn't boring. You'll be so busy playing Where Have I Seen This Before that you just don't have time to get bored. After Scarface, Bad Boys 2, Mission Impossible, The Deer Hunter, Blood Diamond, American Sniper, I gave up counting the movies it recycles. It was like Stolen Years 2, for God's sake. For the record, the difference between homage and recycling is that an homage doesn't make you cringe. There's an implicit nod in this movie to Apocalypse Now that I'm willing to call an homage.
Where's the dog? We gotta go back and get the dog!
Besides, Bingo the German Shepherd is the best part of this movie. If you read some of the English language reviews of this film, almost all the critics say the dog is the best part, and I have to agree with them. And not just because I'm white, and he taught me things. I never knew that anti-personnel mines were useless against dogs, especially when the canine in question is computer generated. But that's not my point. I guess they needed anti-canine mines? Never let it be said that Dante Lamb can't direct an action movie. There's a ton of action in Operation Mekong, and most of it is very, very watchable. The budget limitation shows up occasionally, most often in the visual effects department, but overall there's really no fault to be found on a technical level. It's just that Operation Mekong has zero character development and very little narrative structure. Now, action sequences can and often should be bombastic and huge and overstated, but when your character illustration is, it's really easy to slip over a line into farce. Pavarit Monculpacit plays Nokhar, the drug lord ultimately responsible for the massacre. He's a terrible person. How terrible? All his teeth are bad, but all his guns are gold. He uses child soldiers, and he gives them drugs. But the worst thing about him, he's got a friggin' mullet. Did Lee Van Cleef ever shoot a movie in Thailand? But sometimes this characterization just goes too far. Nokhar likes the drugs he sells. He likes them so much he literally shoves handfuls of them just up his face. Now let's pretend just for a moment that such a massive dose wouldn't kill any man walking and 3 elephants. Whatever that drug is, whether it's cocaine or heroin or ketamine or... You're not gonna start agitatedly screaming, "Where's my breakfast?" 2 minutes later, from what I've read. And that's kind of emblematic of the problem I have with Operation Mekong. It's just... And I wanted to like this movie. All of this over-the-topness would be a lot more palatable if the movie just winked once. Wolf Warriors didn't take itself seriously all the time, and it made a world of difference. By always going so far over the top and never winking, Operation Mekong makes it hard not to think they want us to take it seriously the whole time. It ends up essentially playing like Team China Mekong Police, but without the puppets or the self-aware irony. At the end of the movie, I was really honestly tempted to just stand up and yell, "China! Yeah!" Because that's what it felt like. And yes, I know America does it too. It's one reason I don't watch Hollywood garbage. But just because Hollywood makes mindless, deafening spectacles of jingoistic adventurism that bludgeon the viewer into submission doesn't mean that it's okay when other movies make the same mistake. If you want to enjoy Operation Mekong, just look at it. Don't watch it. Don't think about it. I saw it with a head full of flu medicine, and I could still just see right through all the shortcomings. The title card at the end of the film that dedicates it to the real-life victims tries to lend this film some kind of gravitas. Unfortunately, at that point, Operation Mekong has spent 2 hours being so visually and logically fanciful that it just comes off as insulting. As a totally fictional action film, Operation Mekong would be fine, but the families of the victims, they deserve a better tribute than this. I really wanted to enjoy Operation Mekong, and I just couldn't. Now maybe if you go see it, you'll enjoy it. Like I said, if you look at it just for the spectacle, it's a lot of fun, but don't pay attention to the story. Not that you'll have to work at it very hard. If you want to go see it, watch it in a cinema. Watch it on a big screen with the seats that vibrate. It'll be wonderful. But if you don't do that, wait until you can somehow otherwise pay money for the privilege of seeing this film. I didn't enjoy it, but that doesn't make it okay to steal it. When this film gets released to home video, I'll update the description with a link where you could buy a DVD or a Blu-ray copy. If you enjoyed this review, please tell me. If you didn't, tell me. If you enjoy the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon. We must capture this evil foreign drug lord alive so that he may be captured